Le queremos dar gracias a Dios por su milagro, a los que no dejan de creer que Dios es grande. Gael por fin va a conocer Maracaibo después de tantos años, era su anhelo. A Venezuela, que ella conocerá Venezuela, nació en España, pero que ella conocerá nuestra Venezuela, esta Venezuela bonita. Mis hijos vuelven nuevamente a su país. Gracias Dios por tu maravilla, gracias por tu milagro, gracias por ser bueno con nosotros, hermanos venezolanos. Espero que hayamos aprendido la lección, que seamos más humildes, que seamos más personas, que seamos más hermanos. Dios es grande y maravilloso. Volveremos.
¿Cuántos venezolanos vamos a querer volver otra vez?
Venezuela es grande y va a resucitar entre las cenizas porque así Dios lo decretó. ¡Viva Venezuela! ¡Viva el pueblo venezolano! Y vivan todos los países que nos acogieron en ese momento más difícil. Que Dios lo bendiga a todas las nacionalidades que nos abrieron sus puertas. Gracias. Nosotros agradecidos con España 100% porque nos abrió sus puertas, pero gracias a Chile, gracias a Estados Unidos, gracias a México, gracias a Ecuador, gracias a todos los países, los amamos.
Y gracias a todos por Venezuela.
Amén, que viva Venezuela.
La señora que no ha parado de llorar desde que llegó, viene en pijama, como lo pueden ver, todavía ella está. Cuénteme un poco su reacción, cuénteme un poco qué sienta en este momento.
Esto no tiene comparación. Gracias, Dios mío. Gracias, Dios. Me arrodillé y lloré en mi casa por él. Es un milagro. Salimos.
Muchas gracias. Por aquí también vemos parte de la juventud venezolana en lágrimas porque hace rato sonaba una canción en la que todos nos pusimos prácticamente a llorar aquí en el arepaso del Doral. Cuéntame qué se...
Mucha emoción, el ambiente es impresionante y el ambiente te cautiva y uno estar en el momento y tener esto como una experiencia única en la historia es increíble.
¿Cuántos años tienes?
19.
¿Parte de tu vida o tu vida entera la has vivido ya esperando que esto suceda? ¿Cuántos años tienes viviendo aquí en Estados Unidos?
Tenía 11 años.
¿Tus padres en dónde están?
¿Disculpa?
¿Tus padres están aquí contigo?
Sí, mis padres están acá, ellos vinieron, mi papá fue alcalde de la oposición y fue perseguido político y bueno, él vino para acá para simplemente huir y que nosotros tengamos una buena educación y es muy loco que de un día para otro yo a las 2 de la mañana parado de la nada veo un video y después veo otro video y yo dije, está pasando en realidad. Es muy surreal, pero lo que hay es que disfrutarlo.
Muchas gracias. Seguimos compartiendo con las personas que se...
Estoy feliz porque yo soy hermana de Jordi Suárez, un muerto político. Cuando las guarimbas tuve que emigrar por ese régimen y me siento feliz porque a nosotros nos quitaron un hermano, un hijo, un tío. Estoy feliz, se está haciendo justicia por toda esa sangre derramada que hubo en Venezuela. ¡Feliz! ¡Venezuela libre! ¡Qué emoción! ¡Dios mío! ¡Te adoro, Venezuela! ¡Qué emoción!
I just want to talk to you, America, and I hope you have your coffee when I tell you this, but these are great news. All eyes on Venezuela. These are historical news. This is history in the making. I mean, my chest, it feels like it's gonna explode with joy. Like, President Donald Trump and Maria Corina Machado just created an opportunity for us to begin working harder than ever, because that's what we have always been doing, but now we will be working in our country. But, you know, we also have worked so hard here in the United States to build so much things, and I just want to thank you, America. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to work. Yeah, come celebrate with us. We love everybody because you, America, has loved us so much.
For all my Americans shitting on Trump for bombing Venezuela, let me tell you, I am Trump's #1 hater. I am also Venezuelan, and let me tell you, for all of you that are commenting on social media, oh my god, no war, we didn't sign for this, oh my god, poor people, they must be so terrified. Let me tell you, every single Venezuelan that is not working for the government, the dictatorship that has been in place for more than 25 years, we are stoked. we are happy. Even the people that are currently still in Venezuela, everyone's happy about this. So can you please just educate yourself and stop spreading this bullshit narrative that, oh my god, poor people, like, they must be so scared. No, we're not scared. We've been waiting for this shit for 25 years. We've lost family members. We've escaped the country. We've had to leave everything behind to start over. Yes, some of us know Trump is a piece of shit, but sometimes you battle the devil with a bigger devil. So let him do what he needs to do, and then we can go back to shitting on him, okay?
I want to talk about what's happening in Venezuela and give some context from an actual Venezuelan. Maduro, bad. Trump, bad. Getting rid of Maduro, good. An American intervention into Venezuela, bad. Now you're going to see a lot of Venezuelans who seem to be in support of this American intervention, not because we're naive or because we don't understand what it could mean. Nobody wants to be bombed by the Yanks, okay? But that should give you an idea as just how desperate Venezuelans are. Maduro is not the legal president of Venezuela. He lost the 2024 election to Edmundo Gonzalez. That is an indisputable fact. But this isn't so much about the nitty-gritty of the politics as much as it is about the effects of those politics on the people. Imagine this. You wake up, there's no water, as usual. The lights have been out for about 10 hours. Your fridge starts to smell because the power keeps going out. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna go out and buy some new food. You get there and the food is even more expensive than it was before. Food has gone up 21.9% in price since just last October. Actually, food prices have gone up 12,000% since 2009. So that's like a tomato being worth $1. Now that same tomato is worth $12,000. That's how crazy the food situation is in Venezuela. These rolling blackouts too that I mentioned have a huge effect on the hospital systems. Often you will be in the middle of surgery and the electricity goes off. So you have a country where you have very little access to food, and we know little access to food usually means a huge increase in crime. That has happened in Venezuela. You have a dangerous country, you don't have access to food, water, electricity, and your hospital systems have been terrible. On top of these brutal living conditions, you have this political violence hovering on top of you. If you speak out about what's happening, you are very likely to be disappeared into El Helicoide, which is the largest torture center in the Americas. In July of 2024 came Operation Tuntun. So basically the government would come knocking on your door if you made any posts that were against the government. And if your neighbors outed you for being out protesting, you would be likely to be kidnapped and sent to this torture center. In just the month of July 2024, 1,900 political prisoners were taken. Those numbers have gone up to over 3,000, most of those being youth and most of those being underage girls. Since 2014, there has been 17,888 politically motivated arrests in Venezuela. More than 8 million Venezuelans have fled the country. Our families are scattered across the world because we can't safely live home. And back in Venezuela, the regime allows mining that is tearing apart the Orinoco Delta, poisoning rivers with mercury and displacing indigenous people, allowing miners to go into indigenous territories, spreading diseases, and kidnapping and human trafficking indigenous women. So when you see Venezuelans expressing support for an invasion, please understand, no one wants to be invaded, especially not by a country with such a brutal, violent global history. But Venezuelans are running out of options. Our hope is real. But underneath that hope is fear, exhaustion, and deep sadness for having to survive this horrific, violent, corrupt dictatorship. So please give us some space to feel all these emotions. Venezuelans aren't dumb. We are hardworking people who just want the best, like everyone else, to live a normal life. Thanks for listening.
No sabes la emoción que siento que mi país sea libre. Estoy temblando, estoy emocionada. Gracias, Dios mío, gracias. Gracias, Dios. Dios mío, nos escucho bastante.
So I attended a Democrat protest today for about 20 minutes. I just really couldn't listen any longer than that to the speech that they were giving. You could find those on my channel. Look at the previous videos. But all of you guys that are protesting across the country, you really need to educate yourself and watch some videos of actual Venezuelans who lived in Venezuela or whose parents lived and then fled Venezuela. You guys really got to educate yourself. You know, there's one phrase I always heard from the left, and that was lived experience. You guys got to start talking to Venezuelans and talking to them about their lived experience before you start protesting Donald Trump's actions. Donald Trump is a hero to Venezuelan people, not only in Venezuela, but all across the world today. So go educate yourselves, go talk with some Venezuelans. God bless Trump and God bless Venezuela.
Estos son los buenos días que uno se merece, chica, después de tanta huevonada que ha pasado. Yo no te lo puedo creer. Creo que es la primera vez que madrugo y me siento así como llena de vida, como... Yo pensé que yo estaba soñando. Tengo como una hora analizando todo así y yo... Eso es inteligencia artificial. Eso es un video viejo. Ay, Dios mío. Voy a Venezuela en esta mierda, caballero.
Somos libres. Somos libres, hija. Dios nos dio la libertad. Gracias al gobierno de los Estados Unidos, a María Corina, que hizo un acto histórico, heroico, de resistencia, de lealtad, de todo. El pueblo venezolano que resistió tanto, la gente que estuvo allá padeciendo. Hoy despierto a mi hija con esta gran noticia. La abracé y le gritaba y le dije, hija, somos libres, agarraron a Maduro. No hay palabras para describir esta sensación que sentimos todos los venezolanos. Y yo sé que el mundo entero también está con este sentimiento que tenemos nosotros. Qué increíble sentir que vamos a poder volver a Venezuela en algún momento. A los que van a vivir otra vez allá, a los que van a visitar, no importa cómo sea, pero vamos a regresar a nuestro país libre. Libre, Venezuela libre, carajo. O los caídos. Esta captura, esta libertad también les pertenece. Los caídos, los familiares de los caídos. Oscar Pérez. Chamo, Oscar Pérez, loco, Oscar Pérez. Él tenía que haber estado aquí también presenciando esta victoria. Hoy no está, pero te recordamos. Hoy más que nunca, Oscar. A Minta, a su mamá. Esta victoria también es suya, señora, y de su hijo.
Agrees with what Trump did with Venezuela doesn't matter. And I'm going to tell you why. You people care nothing about the American people. You know nothing about life or what's happening in the country until it messes up your ideology or a reason to hate people. I've discovered that Democrats just love to hate anyone that doesn't think like them. All you lunatics out here protesting in New York City, what? You didn't protest for the country. You didn't protest for your own country. Let's see, Biden did not get congressional approval to withdraw from Afghanistan. We lost 13 soldiers. The Taliban took control of all the billions of dollars of equipment, using it against the people. And you people are upset? What planet? You have time to make signs? But you don't never care about your own people. Someone explain this to me, because it's sad to watch. I'm actually crying. This isn't funny because America is on its way to Venezuela. Do we not see that? New York City, all the corruption in our government, people representing us that aren't even American citizens. Call me racist, Islamophobic, whatever you want to call me. It's fact. We're losing our country because of these. I have not seen the Democrats this happy in a while. I mean, they love tragedies. I mean, when they get tragedies, they just love them. Like, oh, we got them this time. You know, the American people suffer.
So the new dictator of New York City is the smiley Zoran Mandami. He chimed in on X and he said he was briefed this morning on the U.S. military capture of Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro and his wife, as well as their planned imprisonment in federal custody here in New York City. Unilaterally attacking a sovereign nation, okay? That will tell you exactly who are our enemy within. He said that it's an act of war and violation of federal and international law. This is blatant pursuit of regime change. Doesn't just affect those abroad, it directly impacts New Yorkers, including tens of thousands of Venezuelans who call their city home. My focus is their safety and the safety of every New Yorker, and my administration will continue to monitor the situation and issue relevant guidance. You little boy, President Trump will crush this little communist. That tells you exactly who are our enemies within. This is absolutely insane, and for him to defend a freaking dictator and narco-terrorist, Zoran Mandami, you are on the wrong path of history and you are not pro-America.
Si tú no has vivido una dictadura, cállate la boca. Cállate la boca. Si tú no has vivido 30 años bajo un régimen de mierda, entonces, cállate la boca, marico. Déjanos estar felices. No, que Estados Unidos no sé qué mierda. Sí, cállate la boca. Nosotros sabemos nuestro pedo, nosotros nos entendemos. Pero no hagas nada, no digas nada. Gracias.
Going into another country with enough firepower to take their president and then saying you're going to charge their president with criminal charges in our country is such an insane breach of sovereignty. I'm like so shook.
Yeah, just a quick question. Just so we're all aligned in 2026, we know we're not the good guys, right?
Okay, well, if you're not a bot, which you might be, I don't even care. Do you know what happens when the United States starts bombing and invading a sovereign country?
To be more clear, the United States bombed Venezuela and then abducted their president and his wife.
Be honest. Who's secretly rooting for Venezuela and Iran?
Donald Trump, yo sé que posiblemente tú no vayas a ver este video. Yo lo sé, lo tengo claro. Pero coño, no nos puedes quitar el privilegio de mostrarnos una foto de ese coño de su madre tras las rejas, ¿vale? Por favor, te lo pedimos. Hoy es el mejor día de nuestras vidas para todos esos venezolanos. Dios mío, hoy es un día bendecido que nunca vamos a olvidar.
Yo creo que nadie entiende la emoción. Pero desde mis 7 años me tocó vivir en un país donde me arrebataron mi infancia, me arrebataron todo.
Dicen que si tienen a Maduro.
¿Quién dice?
Salió Delcy diciendo que dónde Carrizo estaba. Ay, no, yo le juro, no sé, no me quiero ilusionar.
Gente, Maduro fue capturado.
No te podía creer cuando estaba viendo esto.
Le queremos dar gracias a Dios por su milagro. A los que no dejan de creer que Dios es grande.
Hoy nadie sabe cómo se siente en este momento venezolano, absolutamente nadie, o sea, no nos va a devolver lo que nos quitó, pero estoy muy feliz de ahora que mis hermanas, que mis futuras generaciones, que los niños de ahora venezolanos van a pasar todo lo que hemos pasado.
Okay? God bless y'all. God bless y'all, guys. If you're so scared or like concerned about our country, thank you for the army. Pray for us then, instead of trying to destroy our only hope and happiness right now. Yeah. If you really care about us. Okay? Please, just think about the people. Okay? Thank you so much, everyone. You know what? I'm gonna hop off and I'm gonna go cry and hug my family here. That's what I'm going to do. I'm happy right now. You know? And if you ask any other Venezuelan right now, they're gonna tell you that we are happy. Even if you don't like Donald Trump or not. Even if we don't want Donald Trump or whatever. We are happy. Calvin, thank you, brother. We are happy. We are happy. We're free. And if you are concerned for us, and if you're like, oh my gosh, you guys are screwed, Donald Trump is going to take you guys, whatever, pray for us then. I encourage you to do it. And do not just try to take our happiness and our only hope after 26 years. You know. Elving! Thank you so much, guys. Wraith, true, he said, not gonna pray for your ignorance. God bless you, brother. God bless you. I wish you never leave what we lived back in my country. Ever in your life. I hope you don't have to see any family members dying for not having power, electricity, or medicines in a hospital. Okay? God bless you. I hope you don't have to go through that ever in your life. Ever, ever, ever. Okay? Much love. God bless y'all.
Do you know what the difference is between those who are celebrating the downfall of Maduro and those who are condemning it, or at least how it was done? The difference is privilege. Do you understand how unbelievably lucky you have to be so deeply absorbed in the twists and turns of democracy? Do you think that the rest of the world lives like how we live? Of course they don't. They don't have the luxury of talking about what was authorized, what was congressionally approved and what wasn't. They are not negotiating with the innermost workings of democracy. They are negotiating with survival, with life and death. It isn't that we don't need to have conversations about protecting our democracy. Obviously, we have to protect our democracy, otherwise we don't get to keep it. It is about perspective. It is about knowing when to peel off the lens of privilege and seeing it through the eyes of the rest of the world that doesn't enjoy what we enjoy. The people of Venezuela, the people of Iran, the people of Cuba, they aren't hung up about the first world luxuries of democracy. They are negotiating with life and death. So when their dictators are toppled, they aren't crying over the spilt milkshake of which avenue was taken in order to authorize the decision. They are celebrating something that we have become woefully out of touch with: life, humanity, dignity, liberty. It isn't that the conversation of democracy doesn't need to be had, it's that sometimes you can become so absorbed in your own privilege that you lose perspective. Worse, humanity.
Now a message to my English-speaking friends, because I'm already seeing people are organizing protests, hands off Venezuela, let's defend Maduro, we love dictators. Do not, for a moment, let your hatred and disdain for Donald Trump, an unsavory character, have you defending the dictator of my country that was destroyed by him and Chavez and their system 20 years ago. We Venezuelans are very, very happy that our dictator has been arrested, removed, and will be put through a trial. It's the first time we're seeing justice in 26 years. Now let's hope that they get the rest of the criminals out of Venezuela, and then we can return home.
Trump went to Venezuela booth on the ground, and he fucking went in there and he fucking kidnapped the president, and his wife, and his wife. The guy said he was gonna help with maybe drug trafficking. You're so racist. God. Trump, you're so racist. And you just want to involve yourself in everybody else's fucking business. What? Because I don't understand how you guys can just be okay with this man. DTLM, drug trafficker lives matter. It's the same damn thing when he starts blowing up shit about ISIS. ILM, ISIS lives matter. Come on, y'all.
So this is the comment I keep seeing. Oil. They don't care about Maduro. They want the oil. Oil is the goal. It's all about oil. Oil, oil, oil. Okay, so let's talk about that. Venezuela has the largest oil reserves on Earth. Its reserves are 13% bigger than Saudi Arabia's. But not all oil is the same. Saudi oil is light and easy to refine. Venezuelan oil is extremely heavy, thick, difficult to process, and only certain refineries in the world can handle it. Oil was discovered in Venezuela in the 1920s, and the US was immediately involved. American oil companies literally built Venezuela's oil industry because the country didn't have the infrastructure or the technology to do so. At the time, Venezuela was a poor country with an agrarian economy. It was mostly coffee and cacao plantations. There were no petroleum engineers, no heavy machinery, zero knowledge on how to run a global oil industry. But by 1928, with lots of help from US oil companies, Venezuela was one of the world's top exporters. Overnight, Venezuela became one of the richest countries in the world. During the 1970s, Arab states imposed an oil embargo on the United States because of its support of Israel. This led global oil prices to explode, soaring from $1.80 a barrel to over $11 a barrel, a 500% increase. That crisis shook the entire world economy. That is, except for Venezuela, which suddenly saw billions of dollars worth of oil revenue entering its state coffers. And right after that, in 1975, Venezuela nationalized its oil industry and created PDVSA, Petróleos de Venezuela, or Venezuelan Petroleum, the state-owned company that still exists today. But even after the nationalization of its oil industry, Venezuela still needed the US. Why? Because the US Gulf Coast has huge refineries built specifically for heavy crude, the type of oil that sits under Venezuela. And this arrangement benefited both sides. Venezuela, a country roughly the size of Texas, doesn't have anywhere near the refining infrastructure needed to process hundreds of thousands of barrels of heavy crude oil per day. Venezuela's own refineries can only handle a fraction of what the country extracts, so US refineries processed it. Venezuela got billions in revenue, and American companies profited from the refining operations. Everyone had a reason to keep the partnership going. But without heavy crude, those US refineries struggle. They literally hunger for Venezuelan oil. Now, there's this big misconception that Hugo Chavez, the populist and self-proclaimed socialist president of Venezuela, who died in 2013, took back the industry from the US private interests that controlled it. But that's simply not true. Chavez became hostile to the US politically, yes, but he still depended on the US market. Venezuelan oil continued flowing to American refineries, and Chavez took advantage of the largest oil boom in history, gaining access to billions of dollars in oil revenue. What Chavez did do was purge PDVSA, the state oil company. He fired thousands of expert workers and replaced them with loyalists. Corruption exploded, production collapsed, and the economy imploded. When Chavez died in 2013, he handpicked this man, Nicolás Maduro, as his successor. Maduro inherited a country that was collapsing economically and made it worse. Much worse. By 2017, 76 out of 84 PDVSA plants were paralyzed. Venezuela's oil production fell to 20% of its total capacity. Now, I can already hear you in the comments saying, that's because of sanctions. But no, not yet at least. Before 2019, US sanctions only targeted individual Venezuelan officials, human rights abusers, narco-traffickers, and corrupt elites. Venezuela was still completely free to sell its oil to the United States. And it did. The first oil sanctions only came in 2019, under Trump's first presidency. He basically imposed an embargo on PDVSA, the Venezuelan state oil company. Ironically, this hurt US companies too, because they lost access to the heavy crude their refineries are specifically built for. So why sanction PDVSA if American companies hated it? Well, because Maduro suspended elections and was consolidating a dictatorship in Venezuela. The sanctions weren't about oil, they were about politics. It was a move to support the political opposition in Venezuela, which had won an election that Nicolás Maduro refused to accept. So where does that leave us right now? 6 years later, Maduro is completely broke and running out of options. They rely on drug trafficking and illicit activities to survive. Maduro, more than Trump, funnily enough, desperately wants the US companies to reestablish their operations in Venezuela. 2 weeks ago, Maduro even offered Trump all of Venezuela's resources, including all the oil, and also to reduce economic ties with China and Russia, if Trump would just leave him alone. So if it was just about oil, Trump could have just accepted Maduro's offer. But he didn't. So no, it's not just about oil. Oil is just a piece of the story, but it's not the whole story. And you might be thinking, okay, Alex, but if it's not about oil, what is it about? Why is the US about to attack Venezuela? And if you did think that, thank you for asking, because I'll break that down in my next videos. Follow along if you want to understand what's really happening in Venezuela. And if you have any questions or thoughts about this, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I promise you, I'll get to them.
Trump and attacking him, speaking on all Venezuelans, this is one of the best things, I think the only thing that Trump has done to really make sense of anything right now, okay? Yes, he is capturing Maduro and has captured him to free us. He might have some benefit in it somehow because it's Trump, but at the end of the day, this just gave Venezuela a chance to possibly be free again. I don't think people understand how serious this is. This is something that millions of Venezuelans everywhere have been waiting for years, y'all, for years. And the fact that it just happened in the start of the new year is a blessing. It's bittersweet. And I'm shaking because I literally just woke up not too long ago due to my mother crying and like basically freaking out because we have family everywhere in Venezuela, like all over, spread out. It's just like here. So although I don't necessarily agree on how Trump went about all of this, it seems that he went about it in a certain way that he was able to scare him off or Maduro off a little bit in order to capture him and get the job done, and it seemed like it worked. So again, y'all, please understand what's going on because it's like already enough for us to be stressed out about what's going on in the country. But for those that are here in Venezuela, like for those Venezuelans that are here in America, seeing all the back and forth and seeing you guys just basically speak on things that you guys do not understand, it is not helpful to those of us that are here that are trying to basically keep it together, y'all. But I just wanted to make this video to educate you guys so that you can understand what is going on. This is bittersweet, okay? We still don't know what's going on. There's obviously more that has to take place into finalizing everything, but this just brought us a step closer to Venezuela finally being free again. And I haven't even been able to speak on anything that I wish I could like express and talk about my country, but unfortunately a lot of Venezuelans have been silenced. But this just got us a step closer to possibly being able to visit again. I haven't been to Venezuela in like 12 plus years. I haven't seen my family. I haven't been able to do anything having to do with my country. So this is great, but still keep in mind that there are so many Venezuelans right now being affected by this, okay?
If you're American and you're unsure what is happening in Venezuela, I got you. I'm gonna try my best to keep this short but informative and wrap it all up on what is happening in Venezuela. So this guy is Nicolás Maduro. This is the man who the United States captured last night, was the dictator of Venezuela. He became dictator after this socialist dictator died of cancer in 2003. This is Hugo Chavez. And Hugo handpicked Nicolás Maduro as his successor. Venezuela is a democratic socialist country. And yes, that's another topic, because it economically functions as a socialist country while maintaining democracy. So there's elections in Venezuela. This guy wins every single time. Despite Venezuela experiencing one of the worst economic crises in the entire world back in early 2010s. Last year, there was an election. And this man, Edmundo Gonzalez, along with this woman who won the Nobel Peace Prize this year, Maria Corina Machado. They won the election by 70%. But this guy denied the election results without providing any of his results or proof or anything. He just declared himself the winner, and that was that. You have all of that happening. But let me get into the context of all of this. Like I said, Nicolás Maduro was the president during the Venezuelan economic crisis, which was the worst economic crisis in the world. And because of that, 8 million people left Venezuela. 8 million, the largest human migration in the entire world, thanks to this man. Those migrants went all over South America and then eventually up into the United States. Venezuela wouldn't be in the position it was today if it wasn't for especially the Cubans. But he also aligned himself with the Russians, Iranians, Hezbollah, and the Chinese. And all of these actors now control major petroleum inside Venezuela. And if you didn't know, Venezuela has a lot of oil. People will say, oh, Donald Trump just did this because of oil. And while that might be true, other countries have already done the same in Venezuela. Of course, there's always a reason to be cautioned about this because America doesn't have the best record when it comes to regime change. But arguably, most Venezuelans are out on the street rejoicing at this news. They are incredibly happy. There's cheers already coming out of Venezuela. The diaspora of Venezuelans, people who have left Venezuela, are on the internet and crying, celebrating. This is their day. All we can hope for is a Venezuela now going back to the people. And hopefully he will become the next president because he was elected legitimately by the Venezuelan people less than a year ago.
For all my Americans shitting on Trump for bombing Venezuela, let me tell you, I am Trump's #1 hater. I am also Venezuelan, and let me tell you, for all of you that are commenting on social media, oh my god, no war, we didn't sign for this, oh my god, poor people, they must be so terrified. Let me tell you, every single Venezuelan that is not working for the government, the dictatorship that has been in place for more than 25 years, we are stoked. We are happy. Even the people that are currently still in Venezuela, everyone's happy about this. So can you please just educate yourself and stop spreading this bullshit narrative that, oh my god, poor people, like, they must be so scared. No, we're not scared. We've been waiting for this shit for 25 years. We've lost family members. We've escaped the country. We've had to leave everything behind to start over. Yes, some of us know Trump is a piece of shit, but sometimes you battle the devil with a bigger devil. So let him do what he needs to do, and then we can go back to shitting on him, okay?
I met Susie a second ago. Susie, one of the people out here with the Venezuelan flag. You were born in Venezuela.
Indeed I was.
What did you think this morning? First of all, how did you find out?
Well, I actually found out through my family in Venezuela almost at 2 o'clock in the morning. She called me extremely scared. Well, actually, she doesn't call me at that time. She called me and she says, oh my God, listen, she was crying, and I literally heard the bombs and the airplanes, and she was crying. And then I said, don't hang up on me. She goes, I'm not. And she went off and she said, we have no power. Then I tried reaching my father. I reached another family member. They were all without power. I couldn't get a hold of them until 5 in the morning.
How do you feel now?
Oh my God. Listen, this is a bittersweet sensation. Why? Because sweet, because look at us. I mean, this is amazing. Finally, we saw Maduro, thief, coming down. You know, literally leaving Venezuela. However, bitter because I wish my family was here. I wish I would be able to hold them, Brian, and literally, you know, have this emotional time with them and hug them, you know?
You were just watching the phone. You were watching News Nation as we're waiting to see Maduro come off the plane. Yes. What does that feel like?
Oh my God. Listen, like again, it's an emotion. Listen, look at my eyes. I've been crying so much because Brian, he stole from us. Not only him, Chavez. It's been 26 years. Listen, my grandmother passed away 3 months ago. I couldn't even go see her. I was raised in this country. But the fact that I don't have a Venezuelan passport because we cannot enter with our American passport, just like Cubans, how sad it is.
Just lastly, Susie, so people can understand, your dad worked for the oil company there,
Yes,
and they took everything from him.
They took properties from my family. Yes, they did. The government did that. Yes.
Imagine what your dad would think.
Well, imagine it was very sad. Yes. My dad worked hard for that. Yes.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you so much.
I'm Venezuelan, and let me tell you something. This is the happiest day of my life. They have massacred us, intimidated us, humiliated us. And today we finally recover hope. It's been 25 years of dictatorship. How can you defend that? They have forced more than 8 million Venezuelans to flee the country, including me. And I'm not going to let anyone to tell me that this is not good for us. This is the best thing that could happen to Venezuela. This is what all Venezuelans want.
Hi there. Are you an American or other first worlder with democracy privilege who's all of a sudden very, very concerned about the United States taking the oil of Venezuela? Well, let me tell you something. Fear not, because Iran and Cuba have been receiving free Venezuelan oil for decades in exchange of protecting the dictator that has been exiling, killing us, and disappearing us for 26 years. So please, you should be more concerned about the dictator that is killing us, exiling us, and disappearing us than the United States taking our oil. We are not concerned about that. So why are you concerned about that? Be concerned about the imperial powers of Iran and Russia who are already in Venezuela. Thank you.
I did not vote for Trump. Not that I was excited to vote for Kamala, but I did. But what I have done is facilitate food, medicine, basic essentials for children in Venezuela for over 10 years. I have developed close relationships with families there, with mothers there who have watched their children die because you cannot imagine the conditions in Venezuela. You cannot imagine parents unable to get the basic essentials for their children. I've spoke to families, to mothers who watch their children die on the floors of their home. You cannot imagine. I've been posting about Maduro and the state of Venezuela for a very long time, over 10 years. So before you sit and criticize, and I can't pretend to know how this will impact America, I'm honestly just so focused on the relief I feel for the people of Venezuela. So before you want to politicize this and make this a Trump thing, look into the conditions and the quality of life for how people have been surviving and living in Venezuela. Venezuela is not occupied today. Venezuela is liberated today. Truly, learn about it, read about it. Again, I am not saying that this isn't for the oil, all that. Okay, maybe it is. Maybe it's truly sinister. But for the people of Venezuela today, this is a good thing. This is a good thing.
Let me get this straight. The U.S. takes down Nicolás Maduro, a dictator who turned Venezuela into a narco state, and almost immediately, what do we see in New York? Protests. Yeah, the same Democratic Socialists of America crowd, including Zohran Mandami.
I called the president and spoke with him directly to register my opposition to this act and to make clear that it was an opposition based on being opposed to a pursuit of regime change.
So loud that the war criminals in Washington hear you. Hands off Venezuela!
Hands off Venezuela! They're disrupting businesses, blocking streets over Maduro, a drug lord who destroyed his country and helped flood ours with poison, fentanyl. These are some of the most anti-American people in this country protesting the removal of an awful human being. Meanwhile, Venezuelans who actually lived under Maduro, who fled the country, they're celebrating.
Gracias, señor. Gracias, presidente de Estados Unidos. Eso estoy esperando hace un año. Cómo he sufrido, cómo no han hecho daño, cómo han matado a mis hermanos. Ay, esto ha sido horrible, mira.
Because the people who know what tyranny looks like, they are relieved it's over.
Le queremos dar gracias a Dios por su milagro. A los que no dejan de creer que Dios es grande.
And the activists defending it in this country are showing America exactly who they are, anti-American.
So Maduro has been captured, finally. And I know a lot of my brothers and sisters from Venezuela because I know a lot of people from Venezuela working in Peru right now because they had to escape Venezuela because they were literally starving. And I see some people complaining about this and I'm like, wait, did you guys want people to starve? Like, is that what you want? I'm sorry, and I know this bothers a lot of people, but Trump is the only one who's actually doing a good thing. And just look at all the Venezuelans. They're all celebrating. Peruvians are celebrating. We see a lot of people from Venezuela escape to my country and they have to restart their whole lives thanks to Maduro. So how is he being captured a bad thing? And nobody wants the oil. The US invested in oil rigs years ago and the communists, typical of communists, they stole that. So yeah, that's the story. Like, go read. Like, people need to start reading and people need to start actually like doing research. Just because you hate Trump doesn't mean he's doing bad things just because you hate him. But it's just hilarious how I know a lot of people are celebrating. I know Venezuelans especially. You guys are not from Venezuela. Look at Venezuela. They're celebrating because they're finally free from a dictator. You people don't get to say anything. It's their country. And they're all thanking Trump. And I know that bothers a lot of people. And deal with it. Deal with it, guys.
Gente, Maduro fue capturado.
No lo podía creer cuando estaba viendo esto. No lo puedo creer. Se fue Maduro.
Bro, está pasando. Está pasando.
¿Qué está? Explotó todos los teléfonos.
Yo creo que nadie entiende la emoción. Pero desde mis 7 años me tocó vivir en un país donde me arrebataron mi infancia, me arrebataron todo. Y lo que está sucediendo el día de hoy es increíble, es increíble. Tengo un sentimiento demasiado grande. Nadie lo entiende más que el que lo ha vivido, Dios mío. El hecho de poder volver a nuestro país. No lo entiende, nadie lo va a entender porque solamente los venezolanos que hemos vivido esto. Tantos años, Dios mío. Es increíble, este día va a quedar para la historia, Señor. No lo puedo creer todavía, Dios mío. Es increíble, esto es increíble. No tengo cómo explicar lo que siento en estos momentos. Estoy tan emocionada, Dios mío. Venezuela está libre, Venezuela va a crecer, Venezuela va a resurgir, vamos a volver a ser los mismos. Vamos a poder volver a salir a la calle, a construir nuestro país que nos arrebataron hace muchos años. Vamos a poder volver a ser nosotros. Ya vamos a dejar de huir de otros países en donde simplemente no valoran el hecho de que huimos de nuestro país, no porque quisimos, sino a través de una dictadura, a través de que nos arrebataron sueños, nos arrebataron metas, nos arrebataron nuestra niñez, nuestra infancia. Pero hoy no, hoy marca la diferencia. Esto es un sentimiento demasiado satisfactorio, Dios mío. Yo no lo puedo creer todavía. No lo puedo creer. No puedo creerlo. Creo que soñé tanto este momento que me hace dudar de que sea una realidad. Tengo mi corazón aún mil, Dios mío. Sigamos en oración porque esto no se termina aquí. Aún falta mucho camino por recorrer, así que simplemente no crean que ya tenemos la gloria ganada. Oren mucho, quizás hay muchas otras personas que están sueltas, que son parte de ese gobierno, que son unos dictadores que quieren seguir allí, quieren seguir reprimiendo a las personas. Entonces no paren las oraciones porque realmente lo que necesitamos ahorita es encomendarnos a Dios de que de verdad esta libertad se dé, de que sea el inicio de un nuevo comienzo, Señor, porque eso es lo que todos los venezolanos queremos, un nuevo comienzo en nuestro propio país, no en otros países. Así que, Señor, por favor, ustedes que están viendo, ustedes que están allí también alegres, felices, llorando o quizás con sentimientos encontrados, simplemente oren mucho porque esto es apenas el inicio. Esto es apenas el comienzo, pero es un paso muy grande, así que por favor, oren muchísimo. Díganle a sus familias si están en Venezuela que se cuiden mucho, que no salgan, que no hablen de política porque no saben quién es el que está a su lado, si es bueno o si es malo. Simplemente dejen que las cosas sigan su curso y si las cosas van para bien, vamos a salir triunfadores como lo que está sucediendo el día de hoy. Así que por favor encomiéndense mucho a Dios, no hablen de política, ahorita no se debe, simplemente va a llegar el momento de celebrar, pero por favor por ahora simplemente oren y guarden ese sentimiento para cuando realmente ya estemos preparados y listos, cuando ya sea el gran día de nuestro comienzo. Es increíble.
Was a season where we don't have electricity, like in your area, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you are not going to have electricity in your house from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. and on Wednesday for 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we live with that for so long. Same with the water. The water is coming just 1 hour, 12 to 1. You need to take all the water that you need at that time to drink, to clean, to shower, to do everything in 1 hour. We won't need to say goodbye anymore to our families in the airport. Tell them see you soon, knowing that it's a lie because you don't know how long it will happen until you see them again. We celebrate them because we grow up normalizing things that could never be normal, like going to the supermarket and don't find nothing on it, like have all the money that you have in your pockets but you want to buy food and it's no food in there, knowing that you need to go and do lines at 4 a.m. in the morning, huge lines to get a bag with food, knowing that it's no medicines in the pharmacy and you need to find antibiotics in Facebook, narco-terrorism, corruption. He stole billions of dollars. He killed a bunch of innocent people in protest. He put on jail. He tortured. Venezuela have one of the biggest torture places, recruitments in the world. Yeah, that very old wise, he's still doing that. He destroyed every democratic institution that can exist in Venezuela. We vote. We have presidential election and he lose and he don't want to leave the power. So what's no other way to take him out? I am more than happy because we tried everything. This was like our last hope. This is what we was waiting for and finally happened. And I am more happy because I feel was a smooth intervention. I thought was going to be more chaotic like with Panama years ago, but no, they reached 2 a.m. in the morning. By 3 a.m. they take the man out. They don't kill nobody. It's not even a civil person dead. So yeah, I am. A lot of people asking about the oil. All the Venezuelans know that Trump is doing this because the oil. We know this. We know that Trump is not doing this because I love Venezuelans and I care so much about them. We know that it's about the oil. But we are right now giving our oil to China and Russia and we don't see benefits from it. The country is destroyed. We have nothing. We need to leave and run away and live somewhere else because there's no opportunities there. If the United States want to go back and do it, but it's China, Russia, whatever doing right now, go back. Because when the United States was there and was Halliburton and all these American companies in Venezuela, we were rich, we have money, we have opportunities, we have everything. All the Venezuelans that leave the country because this man and this man regime can go back home. You don't have idea of all the Venezuelans that wanna go back home. You think like we love that in Trinidad they tell us Venice go back home or they treat us bad. It's not just in Trinidad, sorry. This is like across the world because I understand we are everywhere. We are everywhere because we was forced to be everywhere except home. I had more comments to answer, but a lot of the questions are about the oil, so I wanna tell you this. Put yourself on the shoes of an actual Venezuelan person. Put yourself in my dad's shoes that worked through years to build something, that study hard and work hard, and then one day for the other lose everything, have no job and have no option because at his age he cannot leave the country and start to work somewhere else because he's an old person, right? He don't lose just his job, he don't lose just the money, he lose his family because he can see his daughter just one time per year because his daughter need to leave the country to look for a better future. And this is not, I am not talking about my dad, I am talking about the reality of every single Venezuelan person. Like the dad of the person that clean your house, your taxi driver that probably is an engineer, a lawyer, a doctor. That reality.
My mother celebrated the day that we got invaded in Iraq by the American government. She loved George W. Bush. She loved Tony Blair because they got rid of Saddam Hussein because he was annihilating the Kurds and so many minorities. But she didn't celebrate when she had to drag the body of her dead brother from my grandparents' driveway because the neighborhood got airstruck. A neighborhood that was never going to be airstruck. They're so wealthy, they're so protected, they're protected by the Americans because they've got ties with the Americans. Airstruck. My mother did not celebrate when the Americans bombed my school bus. My mother did not celebrate when we would go to school every day and she would say goodbye to us because she didn't know if we were going to come back. She didn't celebrate that we didn't have a healthy home. She didn't celebrate that we had to be internally displaced in Iraq at least 11 times in 6 years. The break in our education, the break in schooling, constantly failing because we cannot keep going to school because constantly political pressure and bombings and displacements are happening. She didn't celebrate any of that. She didn't celebrate when we had to leave Iraq at 2 a.m. because my dad's name ended up on a list. And she definitely did not celebrate when she had to become a Kurdish refugee in Turkey under the UN's thumb. And she definitely did not celebrate when we finally arrived to Australia, to a Western country, and she faced Islamophobia and discrimination and bigotry and oppression like she's never seen before. So no, the invasion of Venezuela is not to be celebrated because it's the next Iraq. We know what the play is. We know that they're for oil. We know that they're to destabilize and to extract what they want, and they're getting out of there.
Oh, I can't believe it. Maduro's finally out. My family and I have been waiting for this moment for so long. Wait, are you not ashamed to support a president that violates international law, to kidnap a president? International laws? Let me explain this again to you. My grandmother died looking for food. We have kids eating from trash cans in Venezuela. 1/3 of our population had to flee, not because they wanted to, but because that was the only thing they could do to survive. You want to talk about international law? Well, it doesn't change the fact that Congress did not approve this and that it is a violation of international law. Oh, it does matter. When you have a dictator starving and killing its own people, trafficking drugs into the United States and killing Americans here, yeah, I think Trump did us a favor. Well, still, he cannot go in and kidnap an elected president. It sets a very dangerous precedent. Well, you know nothing about Venezuela very clearly because first and foremost, Maduro is not our elected president. Second, you don't know what dangerous really is. You know what's dangerous? Starving is dangerous. Silence is dangerous. Fear is dangerous. 1/3 of your population fleeing the country because they can't survive in there is dangerous. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just falling for right-wing propaganda. Right, I'm Venezuelan and you are going to explain Venezuela to me? Is that how that works? My family starved. My country collapsed. And here you are with all your privilege, defending our oppressor while lecturing the victims of the system. What a shame.